Welcome to the Deep Dive. This is the show where we take some pretty complex source material and try to deliver the critical knowledge you need and fast. Today, we are immersing ourselves in the world of strategic brand management software, and we're focusing on one platform in particular called Brandellio.
Right.
And we have a really fascinating set of sources here. They give us two very different views. First, there's this high-level, almost philosophical reason for Brandellio existing, the why.
The mission statement, essentially.
Exactly. And then second, we get into the really granular details of a key tool, the content calendar. So our mission really is to connect those two dots, to see how the big idea translates into, daily actions for an entrepreneur.
And that connection is so important because the sources, they really paint a picture of a huge challenge in the market right now.
Which is?
Well, you have these brilliant entrepreneurs, people with amazing ideas, but they fail. And they don't fail because the product is bad. They fail because they can't get seen, they have no voice.
They're invisible.
Totally. Branding just feels confusing or way too expensive. It's this huge wall that Brandellio is basically trying to tear down.
That makes a lot of sense. It's a gap filler. And if we start with that philosophy piece, the source material has this one line that, wow, it should really make every founder stop and think.
I think I know the one you mean.
It says, great ideas do not fail because they lack potential. They fail because they lack a voice. It completely reframes the problem, doesn't it? It's not a tech failure, it's a communication failure.
Exactly. It speaks directly to that solo founder or, that small team who just can't go out and hire a big agency to figure out their brand voice for them.
They're just trying to keep their head above water.
Right, and they're using scattered tools, nothing talks to each other, and the message gets diluted. Brandellio's whole point is that in this noisy world, your first impression is everything. So you have to have a clear, consistent voice from day one.
Okay, so if they're trying to democratize branding, what do they actually think branding is? Because it sounds like it's a lot more than just, picking a logo and some nice colors.
Oh, much more. It's entirely about meaning. The core belief, according to our sources, is that branding is the emotional connection between your purpose and the people you're trying to serve.
It's emotional connection.
Yes. And there's this great line, they call it, how your dream introduces itself to the world. So they're moving the whole conversation away from just corporate looks to authentic storytelling.
That's a powerful vision. But it does bring up a big question for me. If branding is supposed to be this deep, authentic, emotional thing, how does a tech platform, a piece of software, actually capture that?
That is the big challenge, right?
Yeah. Doesn't it risk just creating brands that are all very clean and consistent, but maybe lack a unique spark?
The soul. That's the tension they're trying to manage. And the way they solve it, or try to, is by providing strategic structure first, not just creative tools. They make the user go through these high-level exercises to get clarity before they even think about making a post.
Okay, let's talk about those tools then, because that's the foundation.
Yeah.
The sources mention things like brand scripts, marketing assistance, and brand health insights.
Right.
These sound less like features and more like, the guiding principles of the brand. What is a brand script in this context? Why is that so important?
I'd argue the brand script is maybe the most important piece, conceptually. It's this mandatory framework. It forces you, the entrepreneur, to define your story.
Like a blueprint for your message.
Exactly. It's the source code for everything you're going to say. It makes you spell out who you serve, what problem you solve for them, and what makes you different, all in language that you're going to use over and over again.
So it ensures that every little piece of communication, whether it's an email or a social media caption, is pulling from the exact same strategic playbook. It's consistency by design.
Precisely. And if the brand script is the voice, then the brand health insights are the ears.
Okay.
These are the tools that check if that voice is actually working. The sources say this part gives you data, real feedback on how consistent you're being and whether your message is actually landing with people.
So it takes branding out of the realm of just guesswork and makes it something you can actually measure.
It becomes a discipline, not just an art.
That is really powerful. It shifts the whole mindset. You're not just running a marketing campaign, you're building a legacy. The sources even say this is not just software, but a movement. It's all very elevated.
It is. The philosophy is your brand should feel like you, but, intentional, powerful, not just something you stumbled into.
All right, let's shift gears.
Yeah.
We need to go from that high-level strategy down to the practical day-to-day work. The how. Exactly. If the big idea is all about a consistent voice, the execution has to be super disciplined. And that brings us right to the second part of our sources, the content calendar.
Yes, the content calendar is where the rubber meets the road. It's the engine for that consistency we've been talking about.
And it's all centralized.
It's the single source of truth for everything you're putting out there. And the key benefit is that you can see it all at once. You get that big picture month view for planning your themes, but then you can zoom into the week view for the nitty-gritty daily details.
Well, the goal isn't just to schedule posts. It's about spotting gaps in your strategy, right?
Absolutely. You look at your calendar and you can instantly see, wow, I've got 3 weeks of posts trying to sell something, but nothing that actually offers value or builds a connection. It makes imbalances like that impossible to ignore.
And this visual planning is tied to a really strict tracking system. The sources get specific about the content statuses: idea, draft, scheduled, and published.
And that tracking might sound boring, but it's the mechanism that prevents chaos. By seeing the whole life cycle of a piece of content, you create a firewall. A raw idea that might be messy or off-brand can't accidentally get published.
It forces a review step.
It forces strategic thinking at every stage.
Okay, now we get to the feature that I think really connects everything we've talked about, the philosophical part and the practical part.
Yeah.
The AI-powered content suggestions.
This is the real standout feature, yeah. This is where strategy meets automation.
So how does it work?
Well, when a user wants to create a post for a specific day, the AI can generate titles and body text for them. But, and this is the crucial part, it's not just some generic AI pulling from the entire internet.
Right.
It uses the information that the entrepreneur already put into the system. It pulls from the brand guidelines, and most importantly, the approved language from those brand scripts we talked about earlier.
Ah, so that integration is the whole secret sauce. The AI is forced to think and write through the lens of your specific brand strategy. That must save an incredible amount of time.
A huge amount of time while actively making you more consistent. The tech is basically enforcing the clarity that you already defined.
But hold on a second. Let's push back on that a little.
Okay.
If the whole philosophy is about that emotional connection between your unique purpose and your audience, doesn't using AI to generate the actual text risk, I don't know, automated the soul out of your brand?
That is the essential question. It's the trade-off.
Does consistency become more important than authenticity when a machine is suggesting the words?
I think the way the platform is designed, it's aimed at solving the 80-20 problem. It seems built to handle the 80% of communication that is, necessary and has to be on brand,
Right.
but doesn't require deep emotional creativity.
For day-to-day stuff.
A daily post, the announcements, the platform-specific content. By automating that consistent baseline, it frees up the entrepreneur's mental energy for the 20%, the really high-impact, deeply human, resonant stories that only they can tell.
That makes sense. It handles the volume so you can focus on the value.
Yeah. Exactly. And it helps you execute that volume across all your channels. The sources mentioned the multi-platform support is a big deal.
Right. Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn.
Twitter, blog, email, all of it. You can plan one core idea, and the system helps you adapt it for each platform so your consistent voice is heard everywhere your customers are.
Which speaks directly to anyone listening who's ever tried to manage 5 different social media accounts manually. It's about centralizing that chaos. And for anyone looking to try it, the sources say the content calendar is right there on the main dashboard. They put it front and center.
Which tells you how important it is. It's the operational heart of the whole system.
Okay, so let's try to synthesize all of this. What does it all mean? We've got the big strategic vision on one side. Branding should be clear, intentional, powerful, and then we have the tactical execution on the other, like the content calendar.
The big takeaway for me is that Brandellio is trying to kill brand guesswork. It's taking the kind of strategic thinking you'd normally only get from an expensive agency and packaging it into software.
And the key is the integration.
The key is that tight integration. It connects that high-level brand architecture, the scripts, directly to the daily work in the AI-powered calendar. And that, I think, points to a future where brand consistency isn't just something you hope for. It's something that's actively automated and reinforced by your tools.
That is a major shift.
Yeah.
But let's end by circling back to that point of friction we found, that central question.
The soul of the brand.
Exactly. If Brandellio is right, and branding really is the emotional connection between your purpose and the people you serve, how does relying on AI for content suggestions change the very nature of that emotional authenticity? Does automation ultimately create a voice that's more professional but maybe a little less human? That's something for you to think about as you build and maybe even automate your own brand voice.